all of that to get to Islam. I want to, not only do I want to deal with it because many people have commented on my videos, Muslims, when they come into some of my chats, before I ever had Zara K on, even though they won't believe me, and they make these truth claims. Yeah. Christians debacled it with their whole Trinity, and the Jews made mistakes, and their God's just ugly. Yahweh's the true God. Or not Yahweh, sorry. Allah is the true God. And they would like make these truth claims about how true this is. Keep up the good work, Derek. Keep jabbing at Christianity. We're happy that you're doing this. And I made a lot of friends, I guess, on their side from doing this because I was a Christian. I'm like you. Like, what am I going to talk about? The thing that I know the most.
Right.
That's it. So people are like, why do you always got to talk about Christianity, man? Maybe because I was a Christian and that was my thing and I know so much about it. So this is why I talk about that. But Judaism is like the foundation, so I looked into the Old Testament more, really poking into the myths of that. Now it's Islam's turn. And one thing I've been doing for a long time, two things. Here's the problem I've ran into. Let me just put it this way. They go, why don't you have PhDs on like you've been doing with Christianity, Derek? Well, I'm working on it, so be patient, number one, right?
Absolutely.
But number two, it's not that easy to get them on with Islam. They're not going to be as critical as they are. Christianity's kind of allowed criticism to some degree. Even though they don't like it, they will engage with it. And it seems more permittable. I hope Islam becomes more permittable where Muslim scholars, and I say Muslim scholars and Islamic scholars who aren't Muslims, aren't afraid for their life to come on and lay down the gavel and say, I'm sorry, the verdict's in, this is definitely not true, but let's tell you how the story happens and let's show you the errors in the manuscript tradition, which isn't the same as Christianity or with the text of the New Testament and the Hebrew Bible. It's a little complex. It's not the same as most of these scholars I'm already engaging with or discussing. I want to get into that. I also want to get into the borrowings from the Quran. I want to see, did the Quran use other sources? What is the story about the two-horned man? And there's a certain name for him. Is this Alexander the Great? Is this talking about Cyrus the Great? Who is this figure within the Quran? And if it is Alexander the Great, it acts like he worshipped Allah and he's a monotheist. We know Alexander the Great wasn't that. He had all gods. Like, he was like, I'm coming over there, I'm cool with your God. He wanted all the gods on his side, so he worshipped them all.
Yeah.
Like, if that's the case. So I'm going to look into this stuff, but one thing I do is I interview ex-Christian, Scientologist, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormon. Like, I interview anyone. And the quickest, most accessible people I had on anything when it came to Islam were ex-Muslims. I'm an atheist. They keep forgetting that when they comment these things like you're supposed to only invite Muslims on to tell what Islam is. And that's what they honestly expect. So I say to them in the comment section when they engage with me and harass sometimes, I say to them, name an ex-Muslim that I can interview that you're okay with. They can't name an ex-Muslim that they're actually giving the green light to. And when they give me a scholar, usually it's a Muslim. And if it's not a Muslim, he's such a sympathizer that I can't really get anything out of him that would probably actually poke holes for probably fear. Or maybe he's just like, I'm not willing to go there. Yeah. So that he takes a different position. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there seems to be, especially with Islam, this hesitancy to be critical, especially among, people who tend to be farther left on the political spectrum. They can't seem to separate the fact that they can't seem to separate skin color from ideas, which is a whole nother problem. Right? Islam is followed by people of all colors. So to criticize Islam is not to be, to be racist first and foremost. But there's this hesitancy to want to dive into it. But I also think that folks like you and I, people who were in very seriously, we have a unique perspective, and we see some of the harm that folks who were never in and just picked it up as an interest don't see. They just, and they may get it eventually through interactions with other people or conversations, but I think when you've lived it, it's different, and you take a slightly more critical stance often in the way you talk about certain things or the way you interact with them. So I can imagine that the ex-Muslims, the things they're going to say are going to be more critical than if you just get some third party who, ran into this in grad school and now does research on it or whatnot. There's
Right.
this element to it. But I, as an ex-Christian, appreciate that. And truly, I think that is where you get so much good, rich information about what is actually going on. Because these people have lived it. And yes, it's anecdotal, but it's still lived experience. And they're combining that with the knowledge that they have on the topic. So I just wanted to applaud you for that, because it is a lot of people aren't doing it, and there are organizations like Ex-Muslims of North America and folks like Zara and Apostate Prophet, and even more. The list goes on. It's becoming more and more popular. I follow the Ex-Muslim tab on Reddit, and it just grows and grows and grows. So I think that's a wonderful thing that you've started. I'm so happy to see.
I also think that you're
future.
right. I mean, it needs to be dealt with too.
Yeah.
People have tiptoed. I've heard nothing but from the ex-Muslims I've been talking to so far. They say, I don't know what it is. I think it's how people are treated when they are critical of Islam. Why a lot of atheists in the West are shy. I can tell you this: Hitchens wasn't shy. Hitchens would tell you what it was.
Correct.
And he was pretty blunt. He was blunt on everything, circumcision, you name it. But bottom line is I feel like it's only fair if I'm going to deal with monotheism, I'm going to deal with monotheism. And Johnny-come-lately Islam needs to be dealt with. And I honestly believe it's crazy to me how a system 700 years AD can use two broken systems, all right, according to their worldviews, the way that they understand the text, and act like their understanding and their God is actually correct. No. But they're still using the stories. They're still using characters from these religions, and they're like, no, that's good, but they got that part wrong. And they still use the infancy gospels of Jesus, which never found their way in any canonical stuff. And any scholar I ask that knows, they're experts on the infancy gospels, they're like, anyone who reads this can tell that this is kind of satire. The authors do not mean this they're not serious here, in the sense that this is go and make this a dogma. And later on, they use this as dogma. This is part of their sacred, directly from the mouth of Allah, that's orating giving in the mouth of Muhammad. So you're like, he's using these infancy narratives, and it's a joke. When you look at the infancy narratives, this is not meant to be taken literally, actually true. And this joke is used seriously in the Quran. It's like, whoa, what the heck is going on,
Yeah, it's what is to quote Hitchens again, the literal mind does not understand the ironic mind.